4 rounds into the Women's Kiss Super League, and the action, it's fair to say, has been absolutely enthralling, with 4 different winners so far. Last week we had an absolute masterclass from Chloe Dygert-Owen on the Richmond World Championships course, which of course she knows so very well. But before we go any further, let's take a look back at the highlights from last week.
Power to weight ratio of about 15 seconds. She's done it, but look at this. Huback hasn't even dropped to power up and is back in contact with the American, who goes again. Huback now being dropped. Big acceleration by Dygert-Owen. The road swings to the left. Fun. This is why this woman is a multiple world champion. She takes the win in round 4, the Women's Kiss Super League. A wonderful second place from Huback. What a battle we had.
Well, looking at those individual results from round 4, we see, of course, it was Chloe Dygert-Owen of Show Air 2020 who took the win. She was followed in second by Louise Huback of the Zwift All-Stars, and it was her teammate Vicky Whitelaw who took third. In fourth, it was Mary Wilkinson of the Zwift Academy. In fifth, Ione Johnson, also Zwift Academy, her teammate. In sixth, it was Cassie Baldy of the Zwift All-Stars, followed in seventh by Amanda Coker of Show Air 2020. In 8th, it was Lizzie Banks of Bigla Cervelo Pro Cycling, followed in 9th by Marion Sico of Dolcini Van Eyck, and in 10th, it was Ilaria Sanguinetti of Valcar Cyclons. But don't be fooled, this league is so much more than just a flat-out race to the line. It's, as we said before, an absolute tactical masterclass that really pushes all the riders to the max, whilst also making them think very carefully about that next move. In the Kiss Super League, you need both the panache and the punch. And after all, it's the first esports league to feature professional cyclists, so it's certainly not for the faint-hearted. Now, let's take a look at which teams have clinched those top spots. In the team standings then, it is the Zwift All-Stars who sit at the top of the table with 213 points. In second, it's Show Air 2020 on 159. In third, it's the Zwift Academy with 104. In fourth, Canyon SRAM with 94 points. In fifth, Hagens Berman Supermint on 73. In sixth, it's Valcar Cyclons on 50, followed in seventh by Bigla Cervelo Pro Cycling on 49. In eighth, it's Dolcini Van Eyck, they've got 46. And in ninth, WNT Rota, they're on 45. But it's still very much still to play for. And where will this epic battle be taking place this week? Well, we're off to the majestic and diverse roads of Watopia, where nothing is as it seems. Now the riders are in the pens and ready to go. So let's hand over to Nathan Guerra for your race commentary.
5 of the Kiss Super League for the women's side of things. On the Volcano Climb after party today for 1 lap total of that, I am Nathan Guerra, going to be providing commentary for you on the race broadcast today. We've got about 3 minutes and 11 seconds, you can see, to the start of the race. A couple of really great points of info today is that Show Air 2020, currently sitting in second overall in the series, will be riding from Zwift HQ in Long Beach today, actually. They have brought quite the roster. Last week's winning move by Chloe Dygert may have a repeat today, as she is going to be live in-house racing there with the winner, obviously, of round number 4 there. So there's Chloe, actually looks like in the middle of the riders there right now. Multi-time world champion showing up today. Simone Boulard is also out there as well, winner of KSL round number 2. 18 years old, bronze medalist last year's Junior World Championships, actually, race in Innsbruck, the course that she did win a sprint on, actually, in the KSL, the Virtual World, out on Innsbruck. Solid result for her in that KSL number 2. Obviously, Erica Clevenger's out there as well. Winner last Sunday in the final stage of the Redlands Bicycle Classic. So obviously a lot of talent out there today for the women's side of things with 2020. And they're going to have to bring it, that's for sure, as obviously the All-Stars have been out there dominating the races so far. I have a feeling, though, a lot of experience from the 2020 riders is starting to be stored up. A lot of learning has been happening, but I think with the powerhouses that they have out there today, they definitely have a huge chance to take down the wind out there today. So Amanda Coker, also coming from the Show Air team, world record holder for the distance ridden in 1 year with 86,000 miles. Perhaps one of the workhorses out there today. Keep things together out on the road as they do approach the after party climb for the volcano. They do the 2 laps out on course of the volcano flat course, and then they are followed up by a climb to the top with a KOM finish today. So it is going to be all about the riders taking on the reality of that climb at the end of the race today. They're going to be looking forward to that. Perhaps a couple of attacks early on could break things apart and end up with a lead group that might be able to battle it out for the climb. But as we saw in the men's race, it did end up being mainly a bunch group heading into the slopes of the climb and taking on that 6-minute climb or so for the men. On the women's side of things, we have just a little bit under, perhaps about 7 minutes for the climb. This course was added in January 2017, 40 kilometers in length. The final climb is 3.8 kilometers to the top with 127 meters of elevation in total. And again, we could expect for that 127 meters of elevation about a 7-minute climb. With 30 seconds to go, riders are going to be ramping up here. Starts out on Zwift, if you're unfamiliar with them, tend to be fast and furious. There is no lead out. There is no lead out car. There is no controlled start. It is full on Zwift type start, as it is becoming its own cycling genre. If you want to compare it to real-life cycling genres, you are looking at a mountain bike or cyclocross type start out here today. So let's see how things do ramp up from the get-go as we are about to have the orange numbers pop, and the quads are going to be locking out here today in order to produce the watts that you are seeing out on course here. As we look at Simone here from Showair, coming out of Canada there, the winner of the KSL number 2, it looks like starting to try and lead things out. 6.9 watts per kilogram on the right-hand side of the screen now, a little bit of an 8.7 with that orange numbers. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the stats that are on the screen as you watch the rider highlighted on the right-hand side of the screen, that is the riders nearby that are in the race, that is going to also be the numbers for that rider's data in the upper left-hand corner with the 271 watts, 172 beats per minute Simone is putting out right now in real life at Zwift HQ right at this moment, as the Showair 2020 rider looks to be seating in at about 4th place or so at this point. Now a little ways further back, now 17th place. You can see in the upper right-hand corner we are seeing from Dixon here, now coming out of Wales, 172 beats per minute coming from her as well, 242 watts in order to hang on to the current position out there out on course. Now drafting is a real thing here as they take that left-hand turn onto Ocean Boulevard. The reality is that in the Zwift there is drafting. You are able to hold on to the wheels that are in front of you in order to work less to put out the same amount of speed as the riders are that are in front of you. So these riders will be looking for the wheels, looking for the draft as much as they possibly can on these flatter sections of the course. Most likely, it is going to be a little bit of what we call hand-holding or calmer race up front, unless we do have some sort of an attack. Now, on this volcano flat course, they do have a couple of sections that they can battle for to try and get away, maybe cause a couple little breaks. As they head into the underground water tunnel here, we are looking at, it looks like Balsamo here, coming from Wildcard Silence out of Italy. And as they do enter this lower section underground with the main pack, they will be looking forward to a 3% gradient here in just a moment, uphill out of the underground tunnel. And as they do hit that section of the course, that does give the opportunity for a couple of riders to try and get away. If they do get kind of a gap, though, there has to be a lot of continuance over the top of that 3% gradient. They will feel that gradient in the legs as the power that they have to put out matching that, and what they do need to put out in real life in order to climb that gradient. But they'll also feel it if they are on a smart trainer in real life, as it does produce the gradients and the force against the legs that they would have to put out in real life for those riders here. Now we are looking here, it looks like Valcar Silence still here, 2 kilometers into the race now. The Italian rider now making her way to the front of the pack now, and a couple of riders actually from Valcar Silence here, as we are seeing Sanguinetti as well, trying to take over the front end of the pack. Now Sanguinetti with a little bit of attack, was an extremely aggressive rider actually out on the New York course, as she now puts in a solid dig here. We did see a couple orange numbers on the right-hand side of the screen there. Now we are seeing the Zwift HQ live situation there with the Showair 2020 riders battling it out to hold on to the positions they're currently holding out on course. It is going to be, it looks like, a little bit of focus not really any attacks here. Those riders definitely going to be concentrated on what's in front of them on the screens right now to try and hold on to those wheels, but it looks like it's just going to be steady tempo at this point, holding on to the wheels. Back into the upper right-hand corner, having the mini-map. Those of you unfamiliar with the mini-map up there, as well as all of the stuff that you're seeing on screen, that is the current section they are tackling out here with the underground tunnel, as well as the current gradient of the rider we have selected on the right-hand side of the screen there. So 0% gradient they're currently experiencing, so not too much opportunity to try and break away too much at this point. Much tamer start than the past weeks, actually. We're getting a lot of info coming in from our race analyst, Greg Leal. Be providing that for us today. He says that there's a whole lot tamer start here today. Most of the riders are in the 4 kilogram, below 4 kilogram, 4 watts per kilogram as far as their average power that they put out so far. Sanguinetti here in here with only 3.0 so far, even with that attack off the front at this point here. So as far as the other riders that are out on course here, we haven't gone through the whole start list really for the day. It is going to be 9 teams out here today competing for this KISS Super League round number 5. It is Bigla Cervelo Pro Cycling's out there with Julie Leth, Lizzie Banks, as well as Maria Vittoria Sperato. And is also going to be Martina Zini from Bigla Cervelo Pro Cycling. From the Canyon SRAM team, we've got Alice Barnes, Krista Rafael, as well as Omer Shapira and Tanya Arath, the winner of the 2017 Zwift Academy, who did jump onto that team from the women's side of the Zwift Academy. We do have an attack here off the front, though, from the Zwift Academy team here. Mary Wilkinson now on the attack here. Definitely a woman I'd watch out as a threat. She has a solid team. She's actually very solid all-around rider. She did win one of the time trials to the top of a mountain, actually, as a part of the Zwift Academy Finals for 2018. I'd be watching out for her for the climb, but as well, it looks like for the day-to-day, it looks like she's able to get away, perhaps, and TT away, but it looks like she's being chased down very quickly. Team is Zwift Academy Dream Team C, 38 years old, 57 kilograms here, has a PhD in psychophysiology of pain, actually, and this is definitely somebody who knows how to deal with pain. We've seen that many a times out in the world of racing out on Zwift. Someone who almost enjoys the attrition of a race that we've seen many, many times here for Mary Wilkinson here. So Zwift Academy Dream Team trying to get off the front here. Unable to do so with Mary Wilkinson. She gets caught by the pack again in the main pack. Able to overtake that initial attack. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of counters here. As they may not want to leave it to the final climb out there today. But back in with the who's all racing out there today, we got through the Bigla Cervelo Pro Cycling as well as the Canyon SRAM team. We also have Dulcitini Van Eyck out there, team with Marion Sykot. We do have Meg Dax as well as Pascal Juland, and then it's going to be Sart Vandenbroek out there as well, coming from Dulcini Van Eyck. Huggins Berman Superman's out there with Harriet Owen, Jess Sarah, as well as Leanne Ganzar and Whitney Allison. As obviously we were talking about earlier, Show Air 2020 being out there live at Zwift HQ, Amanda Coker, Chloe Dygard Owen, Erica Clevenger, and Simone Boulard. And coming from Valcar Silent is going to be Alyssa Balsamo, Ilaria Sanguinetti, as well as Marta Cavalli and Victoria Guazzini out there hammering away still. WNT Rotor showing up on the day with 3 riders, with Anna Badgegruber, as well as Catherine Hams and Laura Asensio. From the Zwift Academy Dream Team, Catherine Cullen, Harriet Dodd, Leah Thorvaldsen's out there, the winner of the 2017 Zwift Academy. Mary Wilkinson we just saw off the front as well for that Zwift Academy Dream Team. And the Zwift All-Stars currently dominating the competition out there. It does have Cassie Baldi, Leah Dixon, as well as Sharon Bird and Vicky Whitelaw. Very successful riders in the world of Zwift racing. And we are seeing it also from our race analyst out here today, Greg Leo, letting us know that Leah Thorvaldsen from the Dream Team once tried to set a world record for a 5K on crutches. That is actually a very interesting point of information there coming from our race analyst, Greg Leo. Don't think there's going to be any crutches out there today. We're looking at Leah Thorvaldsen right now, hammering away at 171 beats per minute out there as they're about to take this right-hand turn through the S-turns and then on over toward the volcano in just a moment here. 192 there, though. We are seeing Leth there really looking to suffer a little bit, actually holding on, it looks like, just barely at 192 beats per minute at 2% uphill grade. It is a little bit of a false flat here at this point 144 beats per minute here coming from Bird, and then we are seeing, it looks like Amanda Coker here now from the Show Air team, 164 beats per minute coming from her. So definitely a very large breadth of difference in the effort at this point between three riders we were just looking at there. A few sitting in, keeping it quiet, making sure that they do not waste too much energy. A couple, it looks like, just hanging on, though, with Harriet Dot here at 186 beats per minute. Depending on your max heart rate, though, it can change. It can not just change, but be very different between each of the riders. If Harriet Dodd happens to have a 200 plus beats per minute max, perhaps still sitting in around tempo or so, maybe even at a threshold. But at 188, I have a feeling this has been a very hard start here for Harriet as she just hangs on over this little 4% gradient uphill climb as they head over toward the Italian Village near the sprint section if they were on the normal forward Watopia hilly course at this point, but they are going to be taking a left-hand turn past Scotty the Squirrel Fountain in just a moment. A lot of times it's a good section to attack, though, because you can lose a pack very quickly on this section of the course as they hit the S-turns on the downhill on over toward the volcano. Doesn't look like anybody's going to take too much interest in that just yet. On the left-hand turn, though, they do see on the side of the road there with the signs, they will be taking that as they head through this little underpass in the Italian Village. And perhaps we may see an attack in just a moment, as it is a good section to try and get away as a group, or maybe spit anybody off the back that may be struggling at this point. Looks like it's all going to stick together, though, as the riders do head through this section. It can cause a little bit of trouble, too, for the riders, as you do get some dust in the face as they hit this dirt section. You can lose a little bit of sight of where the wheels are. So sometimes with the speed, as well as the inability to see quite as well, as you do see a rider there falling off the back there for just a second as the speed of the group does pick up. It can be one of the most dangerous portions of the course is actually the downhill sections because of how fast the pack can get away from you as they do take that speed of the pack, and it starts to exponentially increase as riders make their way to the front and keep on increasing the speed of the avatars that are around them because of the speed they're carrying to the front there. But looking through here, we are seeing, it looks like Alison from HBS here, Huggins Berman Superman, out of the US of A, number 31 out on course here with the main pack. Able to hang in there. 162 beats per minute, still a solid tempo here at this point. So we are seeing from Greg Leo again here, max HR that we've seen from Harriet Dodd in the stats of Zwift so far is 196 beats per minute. That's the max we've ever seen from her out on the recorded races and workouts for Zwift. So 196 is she was already up in almost the 190s just a moment ago. So definitely having a very hard race so far here for Harriet. She's within 12 beats of the max that we've seen out on course. So going to be perhaps a moment of truth here coming up for her as they have one uphill section in just a moment. There's a little bit of a two-tier heading into the volcano here, and as they do take this, they're going to go straight here instead of taking the right-hand turn into the volcano forward section. They'll be doing it backwards here in just a second. And this two-tier S-turn climb is definitely a moment they're going to be waiting for a couple of attacks. It definitely has the ability to try and get away for anybody who wants an early break. I do have a feeling there are going to be a couple of planned attacks here for some of the riders who do not want to have to deal with that final climb being the moment of truth for them, but rather try and break away and make their chances better with a few riders rather than a huge pack to head into that volcano after party climb here. Cavalli here now, we're looking at here, number 53 out on course, sitting pretty in about 7th place now, back in the 14th or so. There's going to be a lot of positioning at this point as for those who do know the course, they're going to be moving their way forward as best as they possibly can and making sure that they are not out of position, as I have a feeling we're going to about to have a lot of power being thrown down into the pedals here in just a second here. Cavalli here now from Valcar Silence, now coming out of Italy here, 163, 252 beats per, 166 beats per minute, and 232 watts right now. But now here as we head into the orange numbers, a little bit of a climb here, probably about 6% gradient or so, 5% gradient now. Whitelaw now making her way to the front, coming out of Australia. Cavalli here now, we're looking at 25th place now, working her way backwards, 4 watts per kilogram right now, putting out on the right-hand side of the screen there. They hit that little bit of an uphill grind here. A little bit of a separation between the riders. Thorvaldsen able to hang on just a little ways ahead of Cavalli here. Chloe Dygert here also able to hang on. Barely, though, it looks like. We'll see if she's really working at this point to make this happen, as it looks like she's sitting about mid-pack there with the Show Air riders there. Now we're seeing Allison from HB Superman, as well as Smaroto that coming from Valkyrie Silence. We're making our way to the front of the pack here as they do take that right-hand turn into the volcano. Owens back at the front. It looks like Chloe Dygert, no problems for her as she settles in with the rest of her show air team here. It looks like Amanda Coker as well as Simone Boillard here able to hang on to the front end and control the race. And nobody dropping off here from this section of the course. I thought perhaps we might have a couple struggling. Actually, we are seeing one off the back, actually three off the back here at this point. Valley, as well as Hams coming from WNT Rotor, and then it's going to be Vanderbroek here also off the back. So it looks like three riders here unable to hang on. WMT Rotor here trying to get back on terms, though. The German riders you can see on the right-hand side there does come into view just a little ways off the back. Currently sitting in 28th place. So we do have 27 riders here, it looks like, that we were able to make this group after the S-turns climb. So that will be the section out on course, most likely that we see the main splits, if there are any, before we hit the final climb up over the top of the volcano after party here just in another lap or so here. It's going to be 40 kilometers total on the day. We are 10.8 in at this point. Most likely going to be finishing, I would say at this pace here, we're looking at about a 45 to 50 minute race in total, with HB Supermint here now sitting pretty about fourth place or so. 4.3 watts per kilogram to hang on. 151 beats per minute here, so not too much of an effort here to hang on for this rider here, as we are seeing HB Supermint really steadily hanging on with all of their riders, I believe, still hanging into the main pack. The gap has opened up, though, to about 15-20 seconds here now to the chase group, as they have fallen off. And I think it's said and done for those three riders, as for anybody who's raced out on Zwift definitely knows once the group gets away, it is almost impossible to bring it back in. So Chloe Dygert Owens here with average 305 watts last week for the duration of the race that was out on the Richmond course, that she was able to win both in real life in the road race as well as the time trial. And now we are seeing her winning last week in the virtual world. 305 watts last week. Currently at 255, so definitely playing a little bit of a smarter race this week. Sitting in, making sure that she is ready for the climb with the rest of her teammates out there. Be interesting to see as far as the climbers go. You know, this is going to have a lot less of a punchy climb with a 7-minute climb. A little bit different than what we saw last week on the Richmond course, obviously with a 1 to 1 minute and 10 seconds, so about a 70-second climb out on Libby Hill, followed up by that about 20 to 30-second climb on 23rd Street last week on Richmond, and then the Governor Street climb, it's about 2.5 to 3 minutes. So a very different course this week. We'll see if Chloe has the climbing legs out there today for that 7-minute climber, if they're going to give the baton over to another teammate today that has more of a climbing repertoire. But we'll have to see if just the pure power from Chloe Dygert is going to show up today, along with the rest of the Show Air 2020 team. Obviously, all of them have made the main group at this point. Amanda Coker's in there as well as Simone Boillard. Then we are seeing Chloe out there as well as Erica Clevenger. And we'll have to see how this ends up playing out for that team, as they're live on site. They're being cheered on by the rest of their teammates. They're up and out of the saddle now. We're seeing one of the riders here, maybe following it up. It is Clevenger here, it looks like, trying to follow it up here to close things down. I believe that's going to be the rider that is closest to the camera here. She gets up and out of the saddle here, throws down a solid 8 watts per kilogram to close down that attack that was coming from El Samo from Valkyrie Silence. Now, Leah Dixon there from the Zwift Academy All-Stars closing down that gap as well, making sure that they're covering any of the moves here. It does put the rest of the pack here in a little bit of worry there for just a second, and closing those speed increases down. Any attacks here off the front here quickly responded to, though, it looks like, by the Zwift Academy All-Stars as well as Show Air 2020 here. Very quickly shutting that down. Barnes at the back here, we are seeing coming from Canyon Schramm. 4.4 watts per kilogram on the right-hand side. Very quiet team out on course so far. Maybe just following the moves and making sure that nobody's able to get away, as the Canyon Schramm team still has, it looks like, most of the team involved. 3 of their riders, it looks like Krista Rafael as well as Omer Shapira, and that is going to also be Alice Barnes, still hanging into the pack here. But Tanya Era, the 2017 Zwift Academy winner, it looks like, has fallen off pace here from the main group. I do know that she was sick last week and unable to attend the Kids Super League last week with a fever. Did see on her Instagram. perhaps still recovering from that, or perhaps just fell off with perhaps a dropout, or not feeling it today. But Tanya is off the back today from the Canyon Shram team. We are looking here now, as you can see, Clevenger here, show air now, 4.8 watts per kilogram, 162 beats per minute, about a 10 beat rise, the heart rate, after those attacks and closing things down, but not too much. It looks like a bother for this rider as they head down into the underground tunnel again for lap number 2 of the Volcano flat course. They will be heading on over toward the Volcano climb here after this one, and 14.2 kilometers into the race so far, 40 kilometers total, so lots of positioning, lots of thinking and tactical racing out there today. Reserving energy is going to be the name of the game, except for Banks here now, 7 watts per kilogram. A little bit of attack off the front, carries that speed from that little downhill 3% gradient downhill into the underground tunnel, and it's a little bit of a gap here. Mary Wilkinson covers it quickly here. The rest of the pack grabs onto that wheel. It looks like it's going to be shut down fairly quickly here. This Banks is throwing down 4.0 watts per kilogram on the front. Shuts down the attack here. It looks like it doesn't look like it's going to be going anywhere. Was a good little dig, but didn't end up with much to show for it here, as Clevenger now takes over the front end of the group. Vicky Whitelaw now making way to the front. Zwift Academy All-Stars out of Australia. National champion of Zwift from Australia for 2018, and now making her way to the back here looking for the draft. The riders now at this point definitely calming right on down after that attack here. Is going to coalesce into a hand-holding situation again, it looks like here, as toward the front now. Willard now taking over. Shapira now as well from CRS here. It looks like Julien now making the way to the front, 3.2 watts per kilogram. Calm racing here now at this point. Clevenger here from Showa here, as we were saying earlier, that he's just coming off of the race over at the Redlands Bicycle Classics, taking that final stage last week. So obviously Showa 2020 having a really stellar year so far, dominating a lot of these races out here. As far as the race goes today and how this could play out for the overall series, definitely something to think about here for this team. They need to stack that podium they want to be a threat in this series, as there's only a few races left, a total of 8 races out here today, race number 5, so we're halfway through. This race today is going to tell whether or not they're going to be able to take down these points in order to close that gap between themselves and the Zwift All-Stars. I mean, the All-Stars obviously with a pretty big lead at this point over the rest of the teams, holding down, I believe it was in the 200s as far as the points of the overall series over the rest of the teams. So there's going to be a lot, 213 that is, between the Zwift All-Stars, and then 159 to Showa 2020. So a solid gap to close down here. Showa 2020 with 1 win, a bronze, and a 2nd place out there. It looks like in the history, in just the recent history of the races here. Zwift All-Stars with 2 wins and a silver in the last 3 races that they've done. So if Showa 2020 can sweep the podium out there today and hold on with this as they're holding steadily here with all 4 of the riders here in the main pack right now. We are looking at Cassie Baldy though here from the Zwift All-Stars, and they've got all their riders still intact here with this main group. So both those teams definitely going to be a threat here out there today. So with the Zwift Academy though as well being in 3rd place, and it's been the community teams versus the pro teams. We've been watching very closely what pro teams have been showing up and really been able to get the results out there. Canyon Tram obviously sitting in 4th place, 94 points. They're only 10 points behind the Zwift Academy out there today. So it'll be interesting to see if Canyon Tram with 3 riders still in here could maybe take down a few spots here today from the Zwift Academy, get on the podium perhaps today with the 3 riders that they have out here today, and try and challenge Showa 2020 as well as the Zwift All-Stars and start creeping their way onto the podium for the team standings. But it's definitely going to be, as far as the teams to watch for the final here today, going to be Showa 2020 and the Zwift All-Stars. They're going to be watching each other. They're going to be following each other, making sure that they cover any moves, make sure they get as many points as they possibly can for the team overall standings out there today. As far as the rank goes, 13.3 is the average rank here for the Zwift All-Stars, actually, and then the Showa 2020 at 10.6. The difference being about 3, it looks like, per race here, about 3 points or so between the two. So still fairly close in the last couple of races here. Simone Boilard here from Showa now has not placed worse than 2nd in the Super League, scoring 45 points for her team so far. So Simone been showing up week after week here. And with one win, I believe one win out there so far, only not placing worse than second, though, always involved for that podium. So Simone here, perhaps the hopes on her today for that climb coming into the Volcano after party on the day. So looking at the Cassie Baldy now from the All-Stars right now, 162 beats per minute. She's a former UK national champion of Zwift and definitely has a ton of experience here. We'll have to see if she can hang on up and over the top of the climb out there today, as definitely going to have a challenge for the pure power of the pros that are showing up out there today. It's been a conversation, obviously, amongst the KISS Super League, as you know, you have all the experience of the Zwift Academy as well as the Zwift All-Stars, obviously showing in the team standings, being in first and third, respectively. But there's just been the reality of the experience that they do have with Zwift, knowing the times to attack, knowing how to sit in on the avatars that are in front of them. A lot of times also knowing how to rest as much as they possibly can, the efficiency that you can bring to the table on race day because of experience with the racing out here and the riding out on Zwift. I mean, a lot of these women have had hundreds and hundreds of races. Some of these riders who are just coming in with these pro badges on have only done 1, 2, maybe just the KISS Super League. Looking at the standings amongst the community races, I mean, some of them it looks like never done a race out on Zwift before. So that experience definitely paying off for the Zwift Academy as well as the All-Stars. But then as we saw last week with just the pure power of Chloe Dygart showing up and demolishing the pack and just walking away. Now we do see Allison here now from HB Supermint now getting away off the front. A little bit of orange numbers there. A little bit of attack here. Does have 1 second off the front here. Owen here looking to cover it perhaps from HB Super. No, shutting it down it looks like, and not really allowing the riders to come around her easily here. Clevenger here now from Showwear 2020 closing it down with an arrow power-up. That is a pretty big investment there coming from Clevenger here, but it looks like she's going to be the workhorse out there today for the Showwear 2020 as she shuts that right on down and the rest of the riders follow right on up in the main pack now. Closes it down to the breakaway as Allison tried to get away there, unable to do so though, as HB Supermint threw a couple of chips out on the table here. A little bit of a counter there, looks like from Bird from the All-Stars, not able to do so, not able to get anywhere with it though at this point. Now it's going to be Whitelaw coming on through the All-Stars here in the orange, white, and blue kits, taking over the front end of this pack now as that was shut right on down here. Now we are seeing Leith here now, it looks like coming out of Denmark here from Bigla and the black and green kit. Maybe just a little bit of an over-exaggeration of what was needed there to shut things down as we are seeing 196 beats per minute, holding on steady though, looking to get back into the draft. A little bit of a gap now back to Thorvaldsen as well as Barnes there. The Canaan SRAM team now no longer involved here with 3 riders. It's only going to be 2 riders still in the pack here as Barnes has to let that attack go. 4 seconds off the back now for Alice Barnes. It's also going to be Thorvaldsen here. Leah Thorvaldsen is with the Academy Dream Team, I believe, here now off the back as well with Leah with a solid 15 seconds. Maybe going to be able to get together with Alice Barnes here and work together to try and close some things down. But with 10 seconds and a group getting away here, for those of you who do know Zwift racing, it is almost impossible to bring that back. They'd have to put about a solid 5 to 6 watts per kilogram in order to bring this back together steadily for a solid probably minute or so. And it doesn't look like that's going to be happening as we do see Leith here making her way back to the front here. 210 watts, 196 beats per minute. Now, as far as power-ups go, for those who are unfamiliar with, you saw that arrow power-up being used by Clevenger here, and you're like, what is an arrow power-up? What is this all about as far as this little icon that we saw over the top of the avatar? Power-ups are something you can use in the game, and the riders can collect them as they go through the banners out on Zwift. So the sprint banner, the lap banner, as well as any KOM banners that are out on course, you are able to collect power-ups, and you get 1 power-up at a time. And it is a randoms number game, an RNG game, where it does go ahead and cycle through all the power-ups, and whatever one you do land on, you keep and are able to use it whenever you need to or want to. There is the arrow power-up, the strongest power-up that is in the game, 30 seconds straight that you do get a reduced drag on your avatar. The CDA, the drag on the avatar, is reduced for 30 seconds straight. Is the strongest power-up because of the kind of speed that you can get out of it. A lot of times it is saved by the riders. Riders used to log in before the races and go and collect them before the race, and a lot of times they just be looking for an aero power-up. They would grab that, go into the pens, and hold on to it throughout the race. Now, to make it a little more gamified, that ability has been removed from the game recently. In one of the recent updates, Zwift took out the ability to go out and get a power-up and take it into the pens of a race with you. So as soon as you enter the pens of a race, those power-ups are removed, and so it becomes a little bit more of a dice roll when you do go through. A little bit more tactical too, because a lot of times riders then who might not have a power-up, might not be reserving that aero power-up for a sprint, are then going to make the race a little bit more active to try and get away because they don't have that. Or if a team knows that they have a couple of power-ups in store, but they want to start using those riders that do not have a power-up to try and get away and make the race harder for the other riders that are waiting for that sprint, a lot more tactics can play out because of the removal of that ability to take them to the pens. So that's the aero power-up, though. Then we do have the feather power-up, which does reduce the weight of the avatar for 15 seconds, so want to use that for a climbing section. Wouldn't be surprised if we do see that happening here in just a moment as we look at Wilkinson here now, one of the climbers from the Zwift Academy Dream Team, definitely making her way to the front end of the pack here with the solid 7.7 watts per kilogram. No feather power-ups being used, though, on this one section of the course that you may expect it for the attacks to be taking place. To the front, though, it is going to be Wilkinson here taking over the pace, 5.3 watts per kilogram coming from the rider out of the UK. Allison now out of the US of A here for HB Supermint now sitting in. And now we do see it looks like it is going to be Bigelow off the front here, perhaps. Now on a little bit of an attack. No, it is going to be Simone Boillard actually off the front just a little bit, taking the charge at the front end of this pack, carrying things along. But now it is Sanguinetti here shutting that right on down, taking over to the second end of the two-tier into the Volcano here. So moving away backwards now, it looks like it's going to be Allison here, 3.8, as she makes sure that she just kind of fade climbs into this pack. One of the tactics you do see a lot of times out in real-world racing as well as in the world of Zwift is that fade climbing. Make your way to the front as fast as you possibly can and then slowly recover backwards into the pack in order to find rest as quickly as you possibly can if you are not on a full-on attack into any of those climbs here. Just getting back on terms with the pack, and we are seeing Harriet Dodd here. Back onto the power-ups, though, as those attacks are over, there is one other power-up that people can use. It is going to be the drafting power-up. That is the little truck that you do see over the top of the heads once in a while, and it is a reduction of the power you have to put out as you draft a rider. A lot of times it can be used as a counter to the arrow power-up. If you do not have an arrow power-up and you're able to jump into the slipstream of a rider who is using one, it does make it a lot easier to hang on. If you can hang on for the duration of that arrow power-up, a lot of times you are able to come around then after it is used. But being such a strong power-up with that arrow power-up, not just being able to come around that rider in a sprint a lot of times does not happen because of the kind of speed that it does end up with on the avatar. Chloe Dargard Owen has the lowest power in the terms of watts per kilogram in this group by a fairly substantial margin, we're being told, from Mr. Greg Lear, our race analyst, actually. And we are seeing Chloe there in the live shots from Zwift HQ right now. Looks like there's a lot of reservation in the team of Show Air 2020 today, perhaps looking to stack that podium at the end of the day today. I believe a lot of these riders are just really watching each other, looking for the efforts, looking for a couple of breaks, but the action is definitely not been there just hasn't been too much action so far today as the riders are looking forward to that Volcano after party climb. That's going to be where all the fireworks are going to be happening. That's definitely what they're going to be thinking about at this point. Anybody who does not have the power-up that they do want at this point is going to be looking forward to this lap banner in just a moment as they do head underneath that next to the piers, watching for that feather power-up or that, as well as that arrow power-up as we are heading into the left-hand turn here in just a moment. Simone, now we are looking at here, 165 beats per minute, 5.1 watts per kilogram real quickly there, just to take on that little 1% uphill grade as they take the left-hand turn back toward the piers here and the start of the final section of course. Won't say lap as it is going to be a different section of the course here as they head on over toward the Volcano after party climb, as it is going to head over toward the same section as far as the underwater tunnel goes, but they will definitely be taking on a very different finish here in just a moment. Looks like the riders there from Show Air 2020 on screen in the upper right-hand corner, Zwift HQ, Long Beach, California, coming on over from the Redlands Classic. They're chatting a little bit there, actually, pointing some things out on course. So a little bit of arrow power up here coming from one of the Zwift All-Stars. Interesting to see. Now another. Is that the second power up there coming from Zwift All-Star making her way to the front here. Interesting to see that so many power-ups being used, especially the arrow power-ups, as we're seeing the rider here on the left-hand side of the course. We'll see if we can get an idea of which Zwift All-Star that is. I believe it is going to be making her way to the front. Bird, perhaps, might be in a little bit of a spot out of there for a second, unable to hang on to the pace, or perhaps an accident using that arrow power-up, because that is an extremely strong power-up actually coming from from Bird here. And now a little bit of a jump here from her as well. 10 watts per kilogram to jump back on terms. But now we're looking at Chloe Dygart's avatar here, 160 beats per minute, 100 RPMs. You do see the legs spinning very high there, just keeping things steady and warmed up here, it looks like, without, you know, letting things cool down too much. As I have a feeling it's just been resting up and getting up out of the saddle a little bit there, as we do see just a little bit of stretch of the legs. Not really any kind of attack or anything here, obviously, coming from Dygart here, just waiting for that moment to pounce up over the top of the volcano after party climb. We are seeing a little bit more information here coming from Mr. Greg Alito. Bird might be trying to get a feather to use to hang with the group on the climb, not expecting to challenge the final sprint. Might be that's a good point there coming from Greg, as perhaps the air power-up not as useful on the climb there for Bird, or perhaps a little bit of a mistake there with that arrow power-up. But I have a feeling maybe a couple of these riders not as interested in the arrow power-up with how incredibly intense the climb is going to be. It's going to be an all-out 7-minute effort, everything they got to the top here. So we do see those ride-ons there coming over the top of out of the heads there of the riders. If you're unfamiliar with the world of Zwift and what a ride-on is, you can log in to your Zwift companion app. Go ahead and download that over on your Apple Store or your Android device over in the Play Store. You download the Zwift companion app and you are able to see who's riding out on course while they're riding, friend people, interact with them through messages and things. So if you go ahead and log in and find the riders that are out on course right now, you are able to send them ride-ons currently right now. We are seeing Harriet Owen here now from HB Superman. Another attack here. HB Superman's been very active on the day. They're currently sitting in 5th overall with 73 points. They've got quite a few points to make up to try and get on the podium in the overall for the series. But with 4 races, including this one, out here in the KISS Super League for the women's side of things, they're trying to take this opportunity here today. And we are definitely seeing Huggins Berman Superman on a couple of attacks here, trying to open things up. Maybe not very interested in leaving it to the climb. And so Huggins Berman Superman with Owen here. 2-second gap. Baldy to the front with 2.9 watts per kilogram. Perhaps just going to allow this to sit off the front and dangle there for a few moments, waste some energy, as Singbonetti here from Valkyrie Silence closes it down as well at 4.0 watts per kilogram. A difficult section to try and get away on the course as this break looks to be shut right on down. We'll see if we do have a counterattack here from anybody else who's not too interested in a Volcano After Party climb being the place to make the selection out on course. Whitelaw now for the Zwift Academy, for the Zwift All-Stars now out of Australia, closing it down with Bird here, as well as Colin here also coming out of South Africa for the Zwift Academy Dream Team. Wilkinson's on the front. Again, all the community teams now making their way to the front, as well as Show Air 2020, definitely taking over those top spots out on course here to close things down. And keeping them on their toes, though, is HB Superman. But at 5.6 watts per kilometer, 177 beats per minute, it doesn't look like things are going to be going much of anywhere at this point. 27.5 kilometers in. And this is going to be a 40-kilometer race. 40-kilometer race. We've got about, it's a 3.8 kilometer climb. So we've got about a little under 10K to go till we hit that climb out on course. 9 or 10, about 8, 9 kilometers until we do hit that climb. And we do see a couple of attacks trying to break things apart before we do so. But it doesn't look like anything's going to be going anywhere. A lot of hand-holding is going to be happening for a moment here. They do have one more section of course that they will be able to try and make something happen here, which is going to be this 3% uphill grade. There could be another section, though, going into the volcano just a little later on, as they will take the right-hand turn into the forward section of the volcano. You might see a little bit of attack there to try and get away, but at that point, the volcano climb is so close, it's going to be really difficult to try and make anything happen, and it's almost a TT adding to your 7-minute climb that's going to be all out. So I have a feeling that this section of the course right here, leaving the underground tunnel, little 3% grade, is going to perhaps be the final section. We'll have to wait and see here to see if we do have any attacks from this pack here. But so far we have seen a waiting game and a lot of poker faces out there today saying who's going to go all in, who wants to actually put something on the line. We haven't really seen anything. It's been a little bit of bets here and there and just kind of poking and prodding to see who might want to try and go with. But it has been a close down each time, very quickly from the pack. You just go ahead and put somebody, a workhorse on the front, shuts it right on down. It's mainly been Show Air 2020 as well as the All-Stars that have been shutting things down. We have seen an attack here from Valkyr Silence as well as HB Supermint. Perhaps, you know, as far as the narrative today goes, the story out there goes, it is kind of the teams that are in that 5th and 6th place position looking to try and egg something on of a breakaway to try and grab some points without the climb involved there. Hagens, Berman, Supermint, Valkyr Silence sitting in 5th and 6th place with 73 points and 50 points respectively. They've been sticking their nose in the wind a little bit here, trying to break things apart, but it's been Zwift All-Stars as well as Show Air 2020, the 1-2 teams here, just shutting things down, controlling the race, and making sure that they leave it down to the pure power of the climb at the end of the day. We are seeing from, as far as our race analysts, just letting us know how hot it gets in the volcano. Lava averages about 1,000 degrees Celsius. The temperatures inside the volcano are very likely nearing the temperature of Zwift HQ with the heat generated by Show Air live on site right now. We are seeing Banks here now, it looks like, trying to get a little bit of a gap here. And this is a very early attack here, trying to make sure that it doesn't just end up being all about that final climb. Banks now, solid 4.6 watts per kilometer, 175 beats per minute, as you can see here. 270 watts, it looks like she's looking to average off the front. She does get that 5-second gap, but Amanda Corker here we are seeing has been the workhorse for Show Air 2020, especially at this section of the course. She's been shutting down all those attacks. They put her on the front, and it looks like it's going to be Corker here trying to close things down. Zwift Academy Dream Team makes with the front in the purple kit there as well. We were seeing just a moment ago. Now it's going to be Cassie Baldi here from the Zwift All-Stars, all working together. So it looks like, as far as those 3 teams go, definitely interested in working together to make sure that none of these riders get away. All-Stars making the way to the front, all 4 of them working together now. So really a concentrated effort here coming from Show Air as well as the All-Stars. Banks here with a little bit of a breakaway, still holding on to 3 seconds. It got out to 5 for a moment. That was a little dangerous, but with only 3 seconds, she's going to have to hold on to a solid 5.0 plus, I think, to try and make this stay away. Wilkinson now making way to the front. Now shuts it right on down. It looks like at 3.2 watts per kilogram. Owens is going to have to come around from HB Superman. Now it's Colin here from the Zwift Academy Dream Team making way to the front. Still only 3 seconds. Banks is going to really have to open this up on this false flat here in just a moment. That is a great section, though, to try and continue with this break. You do see in the upper right-hand corner there, the little bit of percentage of an uphill gradient, 1% at this point. They're going to have to match or do better than what Banks is doing here. And Amanda Coker here now, 2.0. Now Diger to the front there, 4.1, 4.8 watts per kilogram here. And a lot of teams working together to try and shut this down without wasting too much energy. So this is kind of that toying with the breakaway at this point. Holding on to 3 seconds. It's not going out. It's not coming back. It's kind of just like, go ahead, Banks. Put whatever you want out there. Lizzie Banks trying to make something happen here, but Big List Cervelo Pro Cycling really putting a lot of effort on the line for not a whole lot of payoff, though, perhaps, as Amanda Coker here now just throws down 5 watts per kilogram real quickly. And we are seeing on screen here, Elizabeth Banks here, 28, Bigla, and 2017 winner of Britain's Women National Road Series. So very strong rider here, obviously. But it looks like with the reality of the pack strength, it's going to be shut right on down as they hit this 2% uphill gradient. And Bird, Baldy, and Whitelaw, all of the All-Stars almost on the front there in that white, blue, and orange kit, shutting it right on down. It looks like the break has been closed. And now it's going to be interesting to see here, though, as this comes back together. Will there be another attack? But no, it's Show Air and the All-Stars, again, saying, no, we are interested in the climb. Valkyr Silence, though, making the way to the front here. It is going to be Sanguinetti, and she was extremely aggressive out on the course of New York with the KSL Women's Super League. We'll have to see if Sanguinetti here is going to be put some of those attacks here on the front again, as we did see her take a little bit of a risk in lap number 1. But no, it looks like she's just interested in staying involved in the race rather than attacking race at this point. All-Stars now coalescing to the front here. Valkyr Silence there also in the purple and blue kit. It's Whitelaw that we're looking at 5.5 watts per kilogram, 172 beats per minute. That was just to get up and over the top of that little bit of a kicker as they head on over toward the Italian village for the 3rd time. The Scotty the Squirrel Fountain in just a moment here. One of the favorite characters of Zwift, as well as one of the coolest places out on course. We'll be heading towards the fountain here in just a moment, take that left-hand turn one final time through the downhill, which, again, can be a very dangerous section for the riders who are suffering if there is any breaks that do happen. It looks like it's all going to stick together as all these riders have proven themselves throughout the race so far today that they can easily cover any of these moves here. Simone Boillard we're looking at here, 3.6 watts per kilogram, show air 2020, live on site over at Zwift HQ, 175 beats per minute. Fairly high heart rates so far for the race, though, as, you know, indoor cycling, it gets pretty intensely hot. And you are seen here over at Zwift HQ. And I would love to know if they had a thermometer in the live setting over there. Let us know how incredibly hot it is over there in that room and whether or not the riders are cooling very well here. But we are seeing Chloe Dygert getting out of the saddle there just a moment there. Clevenger there closest to the camera, I believe, here. And 171 beats per minute here currently coming from Simone now out of Canada. And as it does look like it's calming right on down. As you do see the watts drop, you do see that heart rate come on down, you can definitely tell that the riders have calmed things down. 22 riders left in the group. We started with 33 riders in this race here, and that's coming from a race analyst. So we have dropped off 11 riders throughout the 2 laps as we head on over toward the volcano after party climb here. And we do see it looming in the distance there, the steam rising from the ocean as the volcano falls into the ocean there. But the question is, will the riders here have the power here and the wattage here to rise to the top here of the podium and the climb in just a moment as we are going to take this right-hand turn. There'll be an initial kick as they start the lap of the volcano, and then after they do half a lap of that volcano, the usual volcano circuit, they'll do a half a lap of that, and then they will head on over toward the proper climb out there, and that's when the fireworks are really going to blow up. It'll be interesting to see who is just waiting to make this a race of attrition to the top, or are they still going to be looking at each other? Are they still going to be asking, you know, will am I going to sit in? It is a very tactical climb, so you are able to sit in a little bit here and there and try and find the wheels of the riders, and it does level out a couple of times. There are a couple of kicks, and then it is an all-out grind to the top and into the 10-11% gradients once they get to that final K. Now we are into this little bit of a climb into the volcano here. Left-hand turn in just a moment as they do hit the volcano circuit. And it does look like there's going to be Bird on the front there from the Zwift All-Stars taking over. And it is the Zwift Academy on the front there as well, I believe, with that is going to be Mary Wilkinson there on the front end in the purple kit. Now it is going to be Cassie Baldes. You do see Leth there is still involved from Brigla. Dixon from the Zwift All-Stars now making her way to the front, taking over the front end of this pack. Now it is going to be Shapira now. Been a little bit quiet there from that rider. Haven't seen her all race toward the front end of this pack now, but it looks like getting involved here and making sure that she's going to fade climb through this volcano banner here in just a moment. This is the one last chance to collect a power-up out on course, so I wouldn't be surprised if we do see anybody using a power-up here that does not want the one that they currently have. 6.4 kilometers remaining to the finish line here, so it's going to be a little under 2K to the start of the climb of the volcano after party. We do see it looks like Mary Wilkinson taking over the front end in that purple kit now. Now it's going to be Bird from the All-Stars as well. Sanguinity from Valkar Silence making her way to the front. We do see Canyon Shramp here in the back end of the pack here, still looking for a wheel. So we do have one Canyon Shramp rider at least still involved in the front group here. Sitting in 4th place overall, Canyon Shramp definitely needs the points out there to see if these riders can try and grab a couple of points before obviously at the finish of the race out here today. 22 riders making the way on over toward the volcano after party climb. We're looking at Allison here from HP Supermint able to hang in, and they've been off the front a couple of times. Definitely were trying to put their hopes perhaps in a breakaway. We'll see if this is going to be their climber here out on the day. The rider coming out of the US of A. Again on the front now we are seeing Valkar Silence now taking over. Now it's going to be Zwift All-Stars here on the front with Bird. Now, just keeping things calm. It looks like it's mainly control at this point for the riders. Not really interested in any kind of attacks. Just making sure that everybody is where they need to be to come into the climb as comfortably as they possibly can. Last week, Chloe Dargard did 6.32 watts per kilogram for 6 minutes, we're being told by a race analyst out here today, Mr. Greg Leo. If she can repeat that, she could shatter the record for this climb. Possibly the first ever for the women of Zwift, with under 6 minutes. So 6.32 watts per kilogram for 6 minutes last week, Chloe Dygert. Now that that would be absolutely amazing to see that kind of power out there today. The way that this team, ShoAir 2020, has been racing today with putting Amanda Coker on the front and shutting down any attacks that might be there. But we have not seen any of the rest of that ShoAir 2020 team really put their nose in the wind. So it's been a tactical race for them out there today, making sure that they set up their racers for this final climb out here. So I would not be surprised if Chloe has that kind of power left in the legs, because we saw those kind of attacks from Chloe last week after putting out much more effort than we've seen so far here today. We've seen her sitting in, playing a smart race, 3.4 watts per kilogram about average for her so far. Extremely intelligent race from her. That is actually the lowest amongst the main group at this point is Chloe Dygert. She obviously been doing her homework on Zwift racing and has kept things really within range. We are seeing Clevenger here now off the front though. A little bit of an attack from her. This is interesting to see, and this might be just a little bit of a loosening up of the legs, trying to soften the legs of the competition, letting Chloe sit in at this point. They have shown up with some tactics out here today. Look at this, up and out of the saddle here. It's going to be Clevenger here now, just trying to hang on again as she put a little bit of a dig in. They're going to take this left-hand turn now in just a moment. This is where the fireworks are about to go off. We're going to see all kinds of wattage blowing up here out on course now. It's going to be Bullard now. ShoAir 2020 still on the front here, controlling the race, now making it very difficult. 8.8 watts per kilogram now coming from Samoan, and already on the attacks here and trying to break things apart. Confident perhaps that Chloe is able to follow anything that is going to be thrown down out there today, and trying to make the other racers follow the duo on the front there from ShoAir 2020 now. Now it's going to be Clevenger here, 4.8 watts per kilogram as they start the climb, and this is it. 3.7 kilometers to go to the top. It is a 3.8 in total, so they've got a little bit ticked off on this of this climb so far. But here we go already. A feather power up now coming from one of the riders there very early, and that feather power up is extremely early for the reality of this climb here. So perhaps that rider just really struggling at this point just to hang on to the pace that's already been set. Vicky Whitelaw now with 7.3 watts per kilogram. The Zwift All-Stars showing that they've showed up to race now today. Now we're going to see Valcon Silence making their way to the front. Sanguinetti is still involved in here as well. Now we're looking at the Zwift Academy Dream Team in the purple kit here with Wilkinson now, the winner of the TT to the top of the mountain climb in the Zwift Academy Finals team camp this past year. So we know that she can climb, that she's got a solid effort to the top. Wilkinson may be showing up on the day to say, no, I can climb amongst any of the pros here. Bullard now making it with the front now. It's going to be Sanguinetti there as well. Coker's there. Owen still involved. Cassie Baldy hanging on, but it's starting to thin the pack here as riders are just looking for the wheels that are right in front of him here, and the gaps now starting to open up, and it's Banks from Bigla here starting to fall off. Dygert though 1 second back, holding on to the wheel there of the Bigla rider there. It doesn't look like is she going to be able to close it down? Perhaps just faking it for a moment here and allowing it to come back to her slowly. But we do see the head down here, a 1 second gap, 4.8 watts per kilogram. I do not believe she's really in any kind of a struggle at this point. It might just be no kicks. Let's reserve the kick for the final sections of this climb. So just keeping things calm, not overreacting. I believe that's what's happening here for Chloe as she closes it right on down. There she is, right on the back of that wheel now. In that pack here, I believe she was just hanging on to the Bigla rider's wheel there, making sure that that rider was actually going to drop off and not wasting too much energy. She did see obviously that things were in a spot of bother for that rider, went ahead, kicked it a little bit, closed it right on down, and we do see Chloe Dygert right back on terms with the race now. Amanda Coker here now going off the front there just a little bit. All four Zwift All-Stars, the leaders of the team series, on the right-hand side of the course right now, as you do see at the front of this race here. This is the last 2.7 kilometers of the KISS Super League, round number 5. Up and out of the saddle, we're seeing Clevenger now at Zwift HQ, making her way into the pack still, it looks like. No, perhaps Clevenger's off the back now, as we are seeing Vicky Whitelaw, Owen, Dixon, Baldy still involved. Bird is still there, as well as Wilkinson. But it looks like Erica Clevenger is about 1 second off the back here. We'll see if she can hang on to this pack as they're absolutely flying. Look at the speed of these riders. They make their way up and over the top of this little bit of a kick and into the volcano. It does level out to a negative gradient here for a moment, and any riders who are struggling are able to calm things right on down and find a wheel at this point. And now we're going to be heading into the second half of this climb here. We're being seen that Chloe Dygert max HR last week was 192. She's currently at 187. Possibly the Zwift at HQ, the heat at Zwift HQ might be getting to her at this point. We'll have to wait and see if she can keep things cool and keep that heart rate down out there. Heat, definitely, for those of you unfamiliar with indoor riding and racing, a lot of these very experienced Zwift racers will have an air conditioner and a gigantic fan, 3 fans on them in their space, because the reality is just like your CPU at home, just like your computer at home, you have to have all kinds of fans on that to keep it cool so it doesn't overheat and slow down. If you ever have a computer that's really frustrating because it slows down because of the resources being used just to keep it cool, same thing with the body. You got to keep the body cool in order to use the resources that are in it. And if it does not keep it cool, you can lose, I've seen up to 50 watts in a test. And that for those of you unfamiliar with wattage, that is a huge amount of power that is lost from the body from overheating. So we'll have to wait and see if things are really heating. We saw something similar with the New York event with the men's sides of things, so we'll have to see if they're keeping cool here and able to hang on with the pace. But it does look like Dargart's pretty comfortable at the front now, 4.1 watts per kilogram, though, able to shut down just about everything that's been thrown at her. Whitelaw now trying to make this a race at attrition at 5.8 watts per kilogram on the front now. We do see that Zwift Academy All-Stars getting a ride on, too, as she starts to take over. It looks like it's going to be Sanguinetti here, able to hang on, and a climber, perhaps, the Italian rider coming right on through. Balsamo here. Valcar Silence on today. They have really shown that they can hang on the climbing courses here. 1.2 kilometers to go to the top now. 180 beats per minute here coming from Whitelaw. Vicky almost unstoppable in these races so far, winning a lot of points for the Zwift All-Stars and putting them at the top of the team standings so far. Still trying to turn the screws here. It looks like it's going to be Balsamo here, though, from Valcar Silence taking back over. Still quiet. It's going to be Showair 2020. Not really sticking their nose in the wind so far and watching for that final kick, it looks like here. All 4 of the riders still involved. Simone Boillard, it's also going to be Clevenger here. Amanda Coker's there, as well as, obviously, Chloe Dygert-Owens, last week's winner and multi-time world champion here. Some of the strongest riders in the world from women's pro racing going up against these Zwift All-Stars and the Zwift Academy Dream Team. Mary Wilkinson here, speaking of them, making her way to the front. Vicky Whitelaw there as well. Purple and the purple kit there is going to be the Zwift Academy Dream Team. The All-Stars there in the orange and white kits, but it's also going to be Valcar Silence in the pink and blue now. Again, showing that they've got the climbing legs out here today. 6.667 watts per kilogram. Another attack, 5% uphill grade, half a K to go. Things are going to start ramping up. They're watching for the attacks now, as we could see somebody go off the front before we hit the final kick to the top now. But now keeping it calm. Now we're seeing a power up here coming from Sanguinetti. That's a preemptive power up. Here comes an arrow power up, though, now from the HB Supermint rider there. Owens now trying to follow things up. Here comes Mary Wilkinson, it looks like here. 8 watts per kilogram. The only hope for the Zwift Academy Dream Team at this point is to hit that final kick to the line. It's going to be a left-hand turn here. Wilkinson, 10 watts per kilogram coming from Wilkinson. Mary Wilkinson showing us why she is one of the best climbers out in the world of Zwift. Dygert trying to follow it up here, but it's only 7.6 from her. It might be the Zwift Academy Dream Team making things happen out here today. These are the points they've been looking for that team overall standings here. HB Supermint coming through as well. Owens here for HB Supermint, but it's going to be Wilkinson with a solid attack before the line, but no, Owens right at the line shuts it down, and HB Supermint with their first win of the series here. Owens here absolutely walking away with this. Harriet Owen not walking away, but snipping it at the line. It looked like Mary Wilkinson was going to walk away with it there, but no, Owens with the last second attack there with that power up, it looked like there, was able to shut it down. And Harriet Owen, Hagens-Berman Superman takes the win overall. Mary Wilkinson just getting nipped at the line with that final little kick there for the Zwift Academy. Valcar Silence on the day with Elisa Somo there. Absolutely solid job there. So the climbing that was out there today definitely changing things up as far as the results go in this series. So unofficial climb time with a 6:38 out there today, but huge shout out to Hagens-Berman, Hagens-Berman Superman there, as well as obviously Valcar Silence getting themselves involved in the team standings with that result there. And that is going to be that 5th and 6th place, in the team standings. Obviously able to grab a few points out there and raise their standings there. So round 5 for the results now, as we just see him. Harriet Owens, Hagens-Berman Supermint here, followed up by Mary Wilkinson in 2nd place. Elisa Balsamo there with Valcar Silence there coming in for 3rd, just 2 seconds back. Chloe Dygert there in 4th place. Shower 2020. Cassie Balby there in fifth there, coming through for in fifth place there, coming through for the Zwift All-Stars. Vicky Whitelaw there for Zwift All-Stars as well, coming through for sixth. Simone Bollard there for Shower 2020, coming in for seventh place. Leah Dixon for the Zwift All-Stars there in eighth. Lara Via Singmere from Valkar Silence again, and then it's going to be Amanda Coker there for 10th place overall. So solid result there for all those women there, taking the top 10 spots. Nice gap. Look at the gaps there between them, though. Obviously, the climb making things very difficult as we're looking at the final shots of the volcano there. We are seeing Shower 2020 here. Very difficult race, obviously, on the day here, putting everything on the line. A couple of head shakes there. It looks like they really played it well on the day, but it came down to the final kicks. We're not able to follow the moves there coming from Zwift Academy as well as Hagen Berman Superman. So amazing race all around. Official climb time was 6:37 with a 5.3 watts per kilogram at 300 watts for Harriet Owen. Absolutely amazing race all around, though. Solid effort there for that final climb. It really came down to the waiting game and then that last kick to the line there, and Harriet Owen really timed it perfectly to overtake Mary Wilkinson for that win. And it's much needed points actually for Hagens Berman Supermint, as well as the Zwift Academy sitting in third place overall, and then Valkar Silence taking that third place. You know, that's going to really start to mix things up a little bit here between the teams, as we do have 3 races left in the series. So as we are halfway through the series here and looking forward to those last 3 rounds, still a lot of opportunity for racers to take over. The Zwift Academy All-Star, or Zwift All-Stars, not taking any of those podium spots. The series leaders here maybe have to go and do a little bit more homework of their own. So let's head back on over to Rebecca to close us out for the race.
Thank you, Nathan. My goodness, what a race we have just seen. Just proving how unpredictable we always say it is. Congratulations once again to our winners, but don't forget to join us, of course, next week for round 6. Women's Kiss Super League continues, and we'll be doing it all over again live here. You won't want to miss it. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time, and in the meantime, ride on.